Hi guys, it's Cyndi, aka Disney Queen. Today I'm going to share why I am considering staying off property versus on property. So stay tuned. So here's the thing. I am one of those people who love staying on property. I love the Disney resorts. Most of the time, we've always stayed at the value resorts. So, cost wise, it wasn't really much more than staying off site, but it didn't come with the same amenities. And because my fantasy trip, I am planning to actually take my entire family, I have really had to think what is in the best interest of our family. So I did a kind of on property versus off property list in my head, and then I wrote it down. These are the reasons why we've decided to stay off property. Honestly, the cost of renting an entire home versus renting a small room, it it and in many cases it comes out cheaper to rent an entire home for the week than it does to rent a hotel room on property that only has two beds, because then we would have to get several rooms. If you would add up all of us getting separate rooms, we can just take that money and pour it into renting a house. And some of the benefits of renting a house versus just staying in a room on property is it gives our family more space, and we can all pitch in and share the cost of the house rental. It would give us a private pool, so we wouldn't have to share with any other guests. It would just be for us. And again, because of that cost, it would be saving us a little bit of money. Not to mention the fact that it would have a full kitchen and we could do our family's meals if we wanted to, or we could eat somewhere else, but we would have the choice, especially with two young children with us. We would have the choice of being able to cut down on some of those costs. So having a kitchen, having your own private pool, having your own private space for just you and your family that is large, that everybody can kind of move around, and that is a bonus that I'm looking at. Okay, because we would not be getting dining packages or ticket packages, because we would be using military tickets. That was another reason that kind of said there's no reason for us to stay on property, because we would not be getting a complete package. We would just be getting a room package. Parking fees. Okay. Once Disney said that they were going to start charging at the hotels for parking fees, that kind of was a turn off for me. Now, that's just me personally. Now, depending on where you are, it may not be that much money, but even that for 8 days would start to add up, and I would rather put that money into something else. So I do know and I understand that that means I would have to pay for parking when we go to the parks. But if one of us had a annual pass, then we wouldn't. If we are talking getting a minivan, then we would all be in one van. The person with that one pass would would get us in to not have to pay the parking. So there's that. So the parking fees was one of those things that kind of made my decision. The other thing is, as much as I love Disney transportation, as much as I love getting on the monorail, as much as I love the buses, yes, I love the buses. I'm that Disney person. And as much as I love getting on the boats and all the other transportation that is offered, I also like the convenience of having my own car. And I like the convenience of that. At the end of the day, we're not waiting in a long line with everybody else and their mother to wait to leave the parks. We can just leave when we want. What we would definitely make sure to do is to find a rental property that is near the gates of Walt Disney World. We've done that before when we've stayed on property. So getting on is not that much of a hassle. once you're on property, it's pretty much like if you have been at one of the other hotels. And actually, in some cases, it's faster to get in your car and go than it is to wait for the bus. So that was another reason why I was like, well, we don't really have to stay on property. Now, there are some advantages to staying on property. I will not deny that. And some of those are, if you stay on property and you fly in, you can use Disney's transportation to get to your hotel. Well, many of us would be driving. Some of us would be riding a plane. But so that's not even something that we would take advantage of because we would be driving. There is the Disney bubble. Yes, I love the Disney bubble just like the next person. But honestly, any trip that we've ever taken, we've always left the Disney bubble, even when we were within the Disney bubble, because we always went to the stores outside of Disney. We always went to restaurants outside of Disney to try to save some money. So the Disney bubble, as good as it is, it wouldn't be like the deciding factor for me if I could save money by staying on off property. Free parking at the parks, again, that's good. But if you have an annual pass, that doesn't really matter. Also, if you have an annual pass, you get automatically, at least as of right now, you get the photo package. So that's not even something, to even worry about. Disney transportation, like I said, it's good, but most of the time we would, even when we were staying at Disney, we would get in our car and go to the parks and then leave in our car, and found that just fine to do. Like I said, as a matter of fact, it kind of helped because we didn't have to stay in a line to wait to leave the parks or to wait to go to the parks. We just got in the car, went to the parks, got in the car, left the parks. So that isn't even a deciding factor for us at this point. Early and late entry into the parks. Now, if it was just me and say my girls and my husband going, then that maybe would be something that we would consider. But because we're taking so many family members and we know that we've got little children, staying in the parks all day and staying in the parks all night is just not, getting up too early is just not, it's not as important as it used to be when my kids were younger or when it's just us. So my husband needs his rest in the morning, so rushing to go in is not even an option anymore. Again, because this is my fantasy trip and my sister and her twins would be going. I don't want to rush her to get those babies up, and definitely that we don't want them out late. So with it being our family, that's not even something that I'm concerned with. And that is how I came to the conclusion that staying off property this time was actually a good thing. We can still get on transportation to ride certain things. We can still go eat at the Disney parks or eat at the Disney restaurants. I can still go and check out all the different places when I'm there eating at the resorts. So the convenience of staying on property did not end up outweighing the convenience of staying off property and renting a home and just having like a quiet place for the family, a place where we could cook our own food if we wanted to. Definitely would be able to have storage for stuff, and so that is how I came to the conclusion that staying off property was just the right choice this time around. And because it's my fantasy trip, I can do that. I thought I would share that. I hope that helps some of you kind of decide what you would like to do. I have stayed on property and I've stayed off property, and they are both good. But at this point in time in life, because of some changes in our lifestyle, I don't have a problem with staying off property. And so that's more than likely what we would do, whether I was planning my fantasy trip or planning my actual trip to Walt Disney World. So tell me, if you're one of those people who stayed off property, Tell me why you liked staying off property. If you're one of those people that stayed on property, tell me why you really like staying on property. Leave comments below. I love talking to you. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? And if you want to know when the next video comes out, all you have to do is hit that little notification bell below. So until I see you the next time, have a blessed day. Bye.